Well, hello there. My name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. So many people dug the amp video where I showed off my collection of all my amps, and you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till you see the guitars. Show them the guitar. Check out the guitars. There's so many guitars here. It's like, I've had some of these guitars before Tone Junkie. Some of these guitars I just bought for Tone Junkie. I mean, it's really, there's a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff. Man, sometimes I look around and I go, I can't believe I own all these guitars. I want to show you first the guitar that I've owned the longest. And I'm going to set my drink down. I'm going to set it right here on this little coaster called the Trainwreck. Just kidding, just kidding. You can't do that. You got to treat them nice. The very first guitar, I was looking at my collection here going, what guitar have you had since the beginning? And I realized I don't have any of my first guitars. Like I don't have my first electric, I don't have my first, I wish I did. But the guitar I've owned the longest, this is the first band, this was like the guitar that I played out with, a young HW, in the pubs and clubs of San Francisco, in a little band called Inner Sunset. You can find us on MySpace. Yeah, that's right. We had a MySpace page. And we put all our openers in the top 8. You remember those? Was it top 6, top 4? I can't remember. But in my day, kids, friends used to, relationships were made or they were broken up by if you made it into MySpace as your top 8 or top 6 or whatever it was. Tom was always in my top friends. And this guitar was one of my tops for many years. It's got the Gibson match open book kind of logo there. But what's the story here? Bought this on eBay, brought it in from Japan, had Gary Brower fix it up in San Francisco, one of the best techs out there, and played this guitar all around. Sold out the makeout room twice. Come on. If that's not success, what is? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Burny. Story of Burny is Gibson was making some guitars for the Japanese market, and in the Fuji Gengaki factory, and they were making such great guitars. Gibson eventually moved the production, but they were like, hey, all we know is guitars. We got to keep making guitars. So they made all these like weird brands, Burny and Greco and Tokai even. Tokai made famous on a Stevie Ray Vaughan record there. You may have heard of that. But this is a really sweet guitar, and these are actually the sought-after ones with VH1 pickups. Not MTV pickups, VH1 pickups. They are called VH1. I don't know if they're, I think they're supposed to stand for Van Halen 1. That's the idea, that these were like PAFs, but a little hotter or something. If you ask me, this is a really good sounding guitar, and I really dig it. It's the Love SG by Burny. I'm never selling that guitar because I'm romantic about it. Next after that, I get a boring job, HW, boring job in the marketing world, and I hear about this little company. It's called Suhr. The guy used to be a Fender, he left, goes down, starts his own thing. I hear these are really great guitars, and I buy this thing. Came with a broken string, and I've never changed it. That's a lie. I have changed it. I actually just broke the string, and I didn't want to fix it. Look how dirty this thing is. I then played this thing all around. This was my #1 guitar for years, and this guitar really is what I just got bit by the Suhr bug. And it's a Pro Series, so maybe they call this it's kind of like the Classic Pros. It's almost identical to the Classic Pros we have now, but it's got V60 LPs and an SSV. I have these pickups in various other guitars. This is still one of the best sounding guitars that I own. Desert Island guitar for sure. If I could own one, I might take the famous JM Pro, but I might take this as well. It's just a great guitar, and it looks a lot like Pete Thorne's which is one of the reasons I love that he played on it. This is my favorite single cut guitar. It kind of like scratched my Les Paul itch. It's the PRS Ted McCarty, and it's a beautiful guitar, really. So the story goes here, after the lawsuit, Gibson, well, they couldn't do anything to PRS anymore, and PRS was like, hey, we can do whatever we want now. We can make all sorts of guitars. So Paul, who had worked with Ted McCarty, he had hired Ted McCarty to be a consultant early in PRS's history. He then, I think, really stuck it to Gibson and said, there you go. I can make single cuts. You can't do anything about it, so says the law. And this is called the Ted McCarty, which is really sort of a, kind of take that, Gibson. He also made these brilliant 5708 pickups, and they really are incredible, incredible pickups. If you ever have a chance to buy PRS 5708 pickups, they are brilliant. Paul went out and bought like the original winding machines, I believe, that they used at the old factory, or he went out and bought copper. It was either the original winds or the original winding machines. But they are some of the best PAFs out there. Open, bright, mid-rangey. There are all of these good words just wrapped into one sort of nugget of a golden sounding tone block. They really are incredible. And it sounds really great on so many Tone Junkie demos and stuff. Speaking of great sounding Tone Junkie guitars, I probably get more messages, comments about this guitar than any other. People ask me about Goldie a lot. We'll get into Goldie in a minute. But this is the White Telly. HW in that band in San Francisco, right after he sold out the makeout room, he made about $250. And he thought, man, I need to spend this money. Saving is for losers. I wasn't the smartest kid back then. But I went to a shop in San Francisco where my buddy worked, and he said, HW, you got to come down and you have to check out this White Telly. I found my next guitar. I go down there, little guitar shop in San Francisco called Real Guitars, and in the back is Gary Brower String Instrument Repair, where you should take your guitars if you are on the West Coast there. And it's like in a little hole in the wall, right where like Valencia hits Market Street, and it's a great shop. I go in there, and he's got this thing. It's a Pine Telly. It's super beat up. Who made it? I have no idea. They said it was Big Tex, but I don't know. There was nothing on it. People ask me what kinds of pickups these are. It's got a Glendale bridge. It would make sense that they're Lawlers. I was told they're probably Lawlers. I've compared them to Lawlers, and they almost look the same, but they just look a little different. A lot of people ask me, HW, can you please open up this guitar? It sounds great in all your demos. Can you tell us what pickups those are? And the answer is no. Some things are better left to be a mystery. Maybe one day I'll open it up, but I have no desire to. Guitars have personalities. The bridge is a little too dark, in my opinion. The neck is a little too dark. The bridge sounds like Jesus returning on the clouds. I mean, it's just fabulous. Together, they sound great, but it gives this thing a personality. And holy smokes, it's an incredible sounding instrument. as sweet without vintage guitars. Am I right? I'm right. Listen, I bought a couple, and some of these are, they're just life-changing. Here's the first sort of guitar that I just held my breath, took a risk on, and ordered it on Reverb, and just hoped it showed up. And what showed up was one of the most amazing, like, vintage pieces. This is a 1964 Guild Starfire 5. Or is it a 4? I can't remember. It's a 5. Does it say? It's a Starfire 5. It says in there. It's in there somewhere. It's in that little sticker in there. And this thing... Okay, there's some stuff going on with it that I haven't found in other Guild Starfires, but if you took a guitar, put it through an explosion, and then dragged it behind a truck, it couldn't be more beautiful than this thing. It's the way it's worn, and it's like an artifact. You know, the finish on it, the neck. Somebody at some point just, they like gun oiled the neck or something, because someone's definitely put oil on here, but they didn't sand it, because you can see it hasn't been sanded. It actually has been worn down by hand. So someone played this thing big time. And then these tuners, they're the most beautiful, like Art Deco tuners. They look to be original. I don't see them on other Starfires. I mean, they're lovely. I took this thing out of the case and I went, no way. I literally just hit the lottery here. This is incredible. It's got an original Gildsby. And what a lot of people may or may not know, these pickups, they might look like humbuckers. They're a little smaller. You might go, oh yeah, they look like mini humbuckers. No, no, no. Guild at that time in 1964, they didn't want to copy other people. So they didn't want to have humbucking pickups like everybody else. So they released these and called them AH pickups. AH, like, AH pickup. Anti-hum pickups. Thank God that didn't catch on. Are those hum pickups or anti-hum pickups? They're like weird humbuckers. They're not quite as mid-rangey as the Gibson sound, but they're beautiful, they're brilliant, and Joe Glazier got his hands on this before I owned it, according to the old owner, and he made this thing one of the best playing guitars that I have in this room. This Guild Starfire, it's got a little buzz now. It needs to go back to him for some maintenance, but what a brilliant, brilliant guitar. These, by the way, I'm just going to give you this tip. If you want to look at vintage hollow bodies, check out the Guild stuff. They're the forgotten American guitar company. I don't think the quality is less than a Gibson, but the prices are way less than a Gibson. Now they don't have the PAFs, but in 66 or 67, they went to the full pickup, the full size humbucker, and then you can put in vintage humbuckers if you want. You can keep those. You can replace it with a modern production humbucker. These are the only ones that have the special size. So after the Guild, I knew I'd been bit by the semi-hollow vintage bug, and I knew what that meant. I had to get a vintage 335, and so you've seen some of these on the channel. I did a video on this guitar. It's called Sunny, and because it's a joy to play. It makes you smile, you know? It just brightens up your day. This is Sunny. Sunny is a beautiful, beautiful 1966 Gibson 335, and really, what a great guitar. What a beautiful guitar. Sunny's brighter too. It's a kind of a brighter tone 335. And it's got this short wiggle stick. Who put that on there? Come on, Gibson. And I've always told myself I need to get either, it's a short spring. It needs to be up a little more. But guitars always have their quirks, you know. This thing has patent sticker pickups, and they're really cool. They don't quite. This is a brighter sounding one, like I said. It's not the most full sounding 335, but on the neck for the blues stuff. I just did a video on the Dumble Clean sound, and go check that out if you haven't heard it. That's some of the best tones I think I've gotten out of those Dumbles and out of Sonny. Picked this thing up at Rumble Seat Music in Nashville for a pretty penny right before everyone went on lockdown. And do I regret that? No, I don't regret it. I might have been able to pay a little less about a month later. But the world didn't end. So at the end, I think I paid a fair price for this guitar. But beautiful, beautiful. It will need a refret eventually. These appear to be the original frets, and someone loved this thing for a lot of years. It's seen a lot of wear, but that's what makes it just even better. And the Trini. Oh my gosh, one of the best guitars they ever made, ever. I never really knew much about Trini Lopez. He passed recently, and I learned a little more about him. But, a lot of people think this is like the Dave Grohl guitar. But this is something like a 335. It's called the Trini Lopez model. It's like a 335. This one had a factory Bigsby, longer stick, and bigger, taller spring on here. Very comfortable. And this one started its life, check that out, at Chuck Levin's Music Center in Washington. I love stuff like that, because it's like, this thing went and someone rented it out and they played it and they learned some jazz standards on it and they just did their thing. But this is one of the most rock and roll looking and sounding guitars. So many people, a lot of people comment, what's that weird Fender you got there with that Gibby Fender? What is that thing? I'm like, dude, that is a vintage 1967 Trini Lopez. Are you kidding me? With patent sticker pickups. This is one of the best sounding guitars I've got. And it just, 335s make me feel like when I play them, I need to sound sophisticated. This thing makes me feel like I need to kick open a door and scream at authority. You know what I'm saying? Just like, yeah, rebel, yeah, angst, youthful, it's so rock, yet it's so old. And it's just, you just want to play the Foo Fighters a little bit on it, I think. Fan of Tone Junkie TV, you may have heard this story before, but it's how I got one of the best Strats on the planet. Her name is Goldie, and there's actually a guy I follow on Instagram who has like the exact same guitar, and he takes really beautiful photos of it. And sometimes I just look at his guitar and go, wow, my guitar is so beautiful. Goldie came to me when a shop here in Nashville started carrying Fender Custom Shop stuff. And it's a little shop called Artisan Guitars. And I went to this Fender Custom Shop event. They had a builder there, and Robin Ford came out and played. It was a big surprise. And this was one of the guitars the Custom Shop brought along with another one. It's got dual mag pickups. A lot of people ask me how to get, wow, why do your profiles sound different with that gold Strat? I have a Strat too. It's like, what are you playing? They're like, a 97 Mexican Tele. And I'm like, yeah, that's... Okay, man. So Goldie has dual mag pickups. Look, there's nothing wrong with Mexican Fenders. I'm just saying, go get these pickups. These pickups are something special. That's all I'm saying. Custom shop dual mag pickups made by Mike Eldridge. This is a 59. A lot of people don't know this because I never mentioned it. This is a 59 Journeyman Relic, and this was a color they did the year of this guitar. Maybe it's a 2017. Maybe it's a 2016. I can't remember. But I'm kind of on this kick too where I don't really clean it. I just change the strings and don't clean it. And it makes it just feel even like more worn in and old. Maybe some people say that's gross. I think you're gross. No, I'm just kidding. I love you for watching the channel. Goldie is just... I pick up Goldie and I do feel connected to the history of Fender. Because I know that, like, you know, the stamp metal pieces on this guitar are from the same presses that Leo Fender made his production guitars. You know, the machines that they wind the pickups on in the custom shop, they hand wind these pickups. And so because of that, they're all unique, and they've always been all unique. You can't make two pickups with the same winding pattern and the same number of winds. And you know, the old stories are like, how hot are these pickups? Well, the pickups were like the length of people's smoke break, you know? So it's like you set the machine and then you walk out for a smoke. And so, you know, maybe someone finished in like 11 minutes, maybe someone else finished in 13 minutes, or they just got distracted. It makes all the pickups different. They're like snowflakes. And then you get a set of them together and they're ultra different. And it's like you're listening to you're listening to a personality of a guitar. Goldie's super special to me. I'll probably die with this Stratocaster in my hands. I want my kids to bury me. And I want my epitaph to be, here lies HW, he knew tone. And then a smaller one below it that says, and here is Goldie, the best Strat in the world. And, you know, one day treasure hunters will dig it and me up. And I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with it. But you will be able to use this as video evidence that my grave has in fact been robbed. This guitar is not mine. Okay, that's a lie. It is my guitar. This guitar belonged to John too, and John brought this thing over. He bought it. It's a Chapman with EMGs, and I don't know why I own this thing, but I can honestly tell you, I've never plugged in this guitar and played it. This is a good example of an instrument that I own only for Tone Junkie demos. I legit am not lying to you when I say I've never plugged in this guitar and played it. So John too, who's in some of the demos, you know, he's into that metal stuff, all that chugga chugga devil music, you know. I hate my parents and my dad didn't give me enough hugs and stuff. And he decided, hey, I'm going to sell this guitar. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. We just did the Triple Crown demo and that thing sounded huge, like huge. Well, I couldn't let him sell it, but he's like, I'm sorry, HW, I don't get to play it anymore. I don't really play much metal anymore. I just don't need it. And I said, look, I'll just buy the guitar from you. I bought the guitar from him. I sit it here in my house. Literally, John 2 comes over, does demos, plays it, leaves, and then it sits untouched. It's practically his guitar that I just feel like I have like a lifelong lease on it for $600. But for $600, it's a really killer deal for these EMGs, you know, because I looked at other EMG guitars. I couldn't replace it for that $600. This is a really great example of just a killer guitar that I only own for demos so people can hear stuff who own these types of pickups. The guitar that changed everything for me. I was doing some tone jugging videos. You can look back at old videos, and I did a video on the JM Pro. And at the time, I was most proud that John Suhr on his personal Facebook page actually shared my video of like why I love the JM Pro, right? That was like, I made it. Well, I actually bought that guitar and then just kind of felt the financial squeeze of having spent so much money on a guitar, and then also was like, do I really want to keep this? And I had some other guitars I liked. I already had a Suhr. Did I need another one? I wasn't really playing out at the time, so I had a gold JM Pro, and I returned it. And then as soon as I returned it, I missed it. So I went out and I bought this guitar, and this is the most famous guitar in the room, probably worth the most. Experts estimate this guitar to be somewhere in the $50,000 range. Although, you know how these things go. When they go up for auction, that's really where we're going to find out. I think it's like $250K, maybe $300. To the right buyer, $1 million. I think if someone offered me $2 million, I might consider parting with this and the JM Pro in a package deal. I'm sorry, the 68 Purple Plexi in a package deal. $1 million amp, $1 million guitar. This is it. This is still, to me, the best guitar in the world. HW's Blue JM Pro, my absolute favorite guitar. If this house were on fire, I would grab my children and I would yell to my wife, "Don't forget the JM Pro!" I'm just kidding. No, but this, I would grab this one. Because this is my guitar that I play, and I feel like it's just, this is the JM Pro that probably has sold 1,000 JM Pros. Like, no joke, not to toot my own horn, but I get so many emails from people saying, I bought a JM Pro because of Tone Jugging TV. I bought a JM Pro because of Tone Jugging TV. Sir, if you ever want to just send me a JM Pro to put on the channel, I think you know that I put them on the channel. Feel free, because I've definitely sold a lot of guitars for you guys, but you deserve it. These are incredible instruments. No one's ever given me a dime to say that. They just really are incredible. So in love with this whole thing as a platform. The 510 bridge is awesome. These P90s are, these S90s, they call them, Suhr 90s, are incredible. The way the neck feels, this is actually a 10 to 16. I love this guitar so much that then I thought, I want one in gold, and I want to try the SSVs, because I had the SSV in the other Suhr Strat. So I ended up getting this guitar. Here is the gold JM, and I ended up doing a little record with my church with this guitar, and in that process, I dialed in all my tones for this guitar, and then I just played it all on this guitar, and what it did to the tone just ended up being this really cool thing where I went, wow, I really love the voice of this thing live. And so lately, I've gone back to this one, but I went almost for like a year exclusively playing this guy live on Sunday mornings after I did that little record. And then now we're getting ready to do another record. We just tracked bass and drums, and so guitars are coming up. And man, I don't think much has changed. I I might for some of the overdubs, and I might make some videos and stuff to just like pull out some vintage 335s or something, and you know, or a vintage guitar here and there, and do, oh, that way I can say, oh, that, see that, hear that little, that's a 64 Epiphone, blah, blah, blah. But really, it's still gonna be these two guitars doing the heavy lifting. I mean, these are, to me, this is the sound. I plug both these guitars in and they sound different from each other, but every tone that sounds good with this guitar sounds great with this guitar, and this one sounds great with this one. And most people would think, HW, you found two of your favorite, most perfect guitars in the world. Aren't you just the happiest person? Aren't you finally satisfied? You're not gonna, surely you don't need another guitar. Well, clearly you don't watch Tone Junkie TV. Because, let me set these down. That is when I went out and I bought this guy. Now this is the silver JM Pro. Check this thing out. And check out the checking on there. This is a beautiful guitar. And it's got the roasted maple neck. Beautiful. So this thing, let me tell you something. There's not a day that goes by that I do not go on Reverb, search Trainwreck, Dumble, Suhr JM. Every single day. Because I look for deals. And sometimes I find deals. And these guitars were $3,800 new at one point. Like these were like, I believe, a Matt's Music exclusive, came with Lawlers, came with a roasted neck. You can split the coils here, which is cool. The neck shape is actually a little different. I don't dislike it, and I don't love it. It's different. It's not like, oh, I love this one so much more than my existing JMs. It's cool. It is what it is. Honestly, it's not so different that I even think about it. But finally, this thing came up used. And I mean, it came up for less than the brand new production guitars. And I had known about these models. And so when I finally saw the deal, I pulled the trigger. And I'm glad I did. Much more vintagey sounding. I've been playing it live. And they're actually, what's cool is we've been doing some songs in E flat and B flat for the record, for the singers. And what's great is having a couple of these where I can just throw one of them in E flat and take it on the weekend. And I love this guitar. I love this guitar. It's cool. If I could have one, S90. If I could have two, S90 and the gold one with SSVs. This one might be the third one. Not that I dislike it, but again, those two I'm just so used to and they work so well. But I'm not selling this guitar. I love it and it works so well. HW, you have three guitars that you love, three JM Pros. Come on, you have three JM Pros. It's like the trinity of JM Pros. Well, hang on. I even made a video called like, I bought three. Well, I need to update that video because I bought four, and this thing is so light. It is like crazy light. Here, pick it up for a second. Just pick. No, okay. No, Shelly reach for the guitar. It is so light. Okay, no, hold it. Actually, Shelly, here you go. How light is that?
Super light.
Super light, right? Super light. It's so light. Same 510 bridge. We got the modern saddles though. Modern saddles on here. Does that make a difference? I don't know. Probably not. This thing is seriously 3 pounds less than the other guitars. I mean, it's crazy. It's something called Palawana or Palawina or whatever. The wood's super light. It's got a blade switch, 5-way. So this guitar, here's the only issue. SSH plus, hot pickup. Something like a Super Distortion or a Duncan JB, more in that realm of like, let's do higher gain with a lot of clarity. And then this has got the V70s. I like these V70s. Not the biggest fan of this, but what this guitar does is that thing. And it does it well. that JB super distortion type thing. And so I don't need to make it work for, the Sunday morning stuff. I've already got that covered with the other guitars. So I'm enjoying this. And again, I look every day, I got a good deal. And if I would not, I probably wouldn't go pay the $38 that this thing is for my application. Some people would say these are the best pickups, of all of them. But for what I do, I like having this around as like a demo guitar. I'm probably not going to take it out of the house much. But I also can just make a video now called Why I Bought 4 JM Pros. Okay, now you might think, HW, surely, one person doesn't need that many Suhr guitars. And that's true. 4 JM Pros and an HSS Strat. And normally you would be correct. But I want to show you a very cool guitar that I've had on the channel before. You've seen it in some videos. This is not a Suhr Modern. It's not. Looks like a Suhr Modern. Smells like a Suhr Modern. Rasmus? What the heck is that? Well, look at this. Look on the back, though. See that? Does that say Suhr? It certainly does. So this is one of the things I love about the gear industry. So let me tell you another story. A long time ago, there's a guy named Jim Marshall. He is making a bunch of amps. He made an amp kind of like a Bassman, called it a JTM 45, but made it with some British parts. He starts evolving these designs, eventually invents something called a Plexi. It's an incredible amplifier. It's an incredible story. It becomes an incredible line of amplifiers that affects rock and roll and the history of people forever. Well, Jim Marshall had a problem. He signed up with a distributor called Rose Morris, and he got into a little argument about this distributor. He wanted to make some stuff that they didn't want to distribute. So they basically said, if you make that, we won't distribute it. And since we have the exclusivity, you won't sell any. We won't deliver your amps to the customers or to the shops. So you got to make what we're saying you got to make. Well, Jim didn't like this. So he had named his company after himself, Marshall, right? But his wife's maiden name was Park. So Jim said, screw you. I'll make you some Marshalls because I have to. But I'm going to make the designs, the different designs. I'm going to change stuff and make whatever I want under this name Park. So he did, and he started selling these Parks to a local shop, and they carried Park amps. And now there's Parks, and Stu G's Park is famous, and I've done a couple Parks and stuff. John Suhr apparently wanted to do an import line of guitars. And as the trend has become, Korea has been putting out some really incredible stuff. China has been putting out some incredible stuff. And it's all about the quality standards, If there's good training and there's good luthiers, it doesn't matter where they come from. So Rasmus apparently is John Suhr's wife's maiden name, or it might have been his mother's name. I can't remember, but it was a family name. And so John decided, well, what we're going to do is we're going to have the wood made in China and the frets done in China, and then we're going to send it here, and I think the tuners. And then when it gets here, we're going to drop in American pickups, just like the Suhr stuff, a real Goto 510, and we're going to give it a nice little once-over. Boom. Well, here's what happened, apparently. People can check me on Gear Page if I get some of this wrong. They'll probably, they're probably throwing shade, but whatever. From what I understand happened is they did this for a couple times, and then they just stopped. And I believe there was a post where John indicated that it was just becoming too much for them. It was taking up too much manpower, and there was too much to do to fix some of the mistakes on the frets and stuff. What that means is, if you buy a Rasmus today, you get a guitar. You can only buy them used. You get a guitar that has the same pickups as a Suhr, the same bridge as a Suhr, I believe the same electronics as a Suhr. It's got tuners that are not just like the Suhr, but they're import tuners. And you've got this this great guitar that is like it's like a Suhr, but for less money. And when it hit the factory, someone went over it and fixed all the mistakes that was made on the frets or on any of the guitar. So you get a guitar that meets their standards for what they were trying to do. I wish they had kept this up. Because for me, I'm not like the kind of person who's going to buy a Suhr Modern because it's not quite my type of guitar. But a Rasmus Modern I'd buy. And after this, they came out with the natural ones to try to lower the price and everything. And so, you know, that line's cool too. But I love having something like this. And this one had a bunch of damage. And so, to be honest with you, I got a great deal. I think this was $400 on Reverb. I mean, what a deal. You know, I'm not going to take this out, but it's got some dings and dents. And I'm happy to pay it. Bargain at twice the price. HW, do you slap at the bass man? Well, I used to. Remember that band where I played that SG and the Tele? Well, we started out as a 4-piece, and I was just playing guitar every week, and I was actually pretty bored on the guitar and just decided, let me do something different. So got a keys player together, a guy to play acoustic, me, and a drummer, and we just started making some music together. Eventually in that band, we got another bass player. I wrote all the bass lines that were kind of like on the first record, or maybe like 3/4 of them. We had a bass player join the band. I moved to guitar and keys and then did the guitar stuff. And so the bass player sort of had to listen to all the demos we had done, and he had to like figure out, all right, what the heck is this guitar player doing? I mean, there was some out there bass lines, and what we were doing was cool, but you know, a bass player had to come in and like, you know, really tighten it up and just do the bass player thing. Those guys are real musicians, if you didn't know. They have to play every note of like every song. Guitar players just drop out for entire sections. We get bows and we start turning effects knobs. It's so silly that we make fun of bassists, really, when you think about it. They're the most anyway, okay, forget about it. Everyone turned off the channel. They're like, screw you, man, bass sucks. Okay, but listen, this was like a Fender. It is a real Fender. I just covered it up. But it's got the P-bass pickups and the jazz pickups, and it has all these active electronics. And I think there's another pot here that I had at one point, and it fell in the guitar, and I said, screw it. But all I know is when I think it's at 10. It's a tone knob, and there's a blendy and EQ. All I know is when I plug this thing in, it still works. And I put some tape on it because one day I just wanted to change the look of it. But it's just a made in Mexico bass, dude, and I played this thing all around. It even has a gold pickguard that I spray painted black, you know? Look, when you don't have any money, and at the time I drove a car that was probably worth $300, no paint left on it, all the door handles were broken. You had to roll down the window and then reach out of the car and open the car, you know, reach out, open it. And then when you opened it, it would get stuck in the up position. And then you'd get out and you had to push it back down, because if you closed it with the lever in the up position, it would just bounce off the car. It wouldn't close. Do you know how many people thought I was probably insane? And at the time I was like working, I did a little sales for a little while. Who is this guy? Look at that car. He should be embarrassed. You know why I wasn't embarrassed? Because I had because I specifically remember I specifically remember jumping back. This guitar I bought, I didn't tell this part. I don't think I've ever told this part of the story. This guitar I bought on Reverb or something, or eBay. But I had another one, same model, exactly like it. And the reason I bought two was this. This was the second one, and it showed up and it was lighter and more mid-rangey. And I liked that. But the reason I bought this was that this guitar was like $600 cheaper than the exact same model I had just bought at Guitar Center, and I was within the 30 days. So I bought the second one on eBay thinking, well, that's a good price. I'll turn around and flip it. The guy accepted my offer. I'll turn around and flip it, and if I don't like it, but if I like it more than the one I got at Guitar Center, I will take the other one back and I'll pocket the $600 difference. Well, the other one was heavier, more bass and more highs. But I bought that at the same time I bought a Mesa Lone Star Special. And I remember that day I spent like $4,000 at Guitar Center. And I remember the guy helping me carry it all out to my car. My super beat up Toyota Corolla that looked like it was going to break down. It did several times. And I remember he was like, "Is this your car?" I was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "All right." And we just put the stuff in. And I just felt this understanding. Like, he got it. $300 car, $4,000 guitar rig. This guy's got priorities, you know? And that was that. And so at the time, I was never embarrassed of the vehicle because I knew that I was about to bust out an awesome rig. You know what I mean? I knew that when it was time to unload the gear, I'd be getting out of that super beat up, no paint left, everything's peeling, and I'd be pulling out my 70s Bandmaster and my Marshall half stack and all my sweet pedals and that awesome PRS and a Suhr guitar, and that was it, man. And then it was like, hey, that's it, you know? You embarrassed by that car? I'd be embarrassed not to have good tone. That's the punchline. Anyway, this bass, cool thing, but I don't really play bass anymore. On to some other, what's left here? On to some other things. Well, I think what's left is, I talked about this in the other video. Here's the 1964 Epiphone Casino single pickup. Talked about this one. Great, loud, vibrant guitar. Love this thing, and it's a great kick-around guitar. But couple guitars, if you're watching this late in the video, that I'm actually selling on Tone Junkie Vintage. This is now a full commercial. HW, I didn't know commercials were hour long. They are now. No, couple that I'm actually gonna be selling. You can check Tone Junkie Vintage for these. This is a Greco. Remember we talked about Burny at the top of this? This is a Greco. This is a cool guitar. I just don't play it, and honestly, I have vintage ones. It's got the open book headstock, and we can get a shot of the rest of this here. It's a great looking 335. It's got a particularly warm sound, and I mean, it's pretty full. It's rocking. It's got the volute, this little piece of the headstock back here, so you don't have to worry about the headstock breaking. That's sort of a 70s feature. But this one actually has a cool thing in that here's the pickup selector. Here's the pickup selector. And then here actually it splits the coils, single and humbucker. That's a cool feature. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. The single coils are not going to fool anybody. It sounds like a thinner humbucker. I mean, it just sounds like a thinner pickup, but it's not like, you know, it's not instantly a Fender Tele. But I got this thing on Reverb, and I've had it for a while, and it's a Greco SA700, again from that Fuji Gengaki factory. And this is a great guitar. I just, you know, there's some stuff here I literally, when I just don't pick it up for a year or something, you know. We put it in some demos, and there's some clips of it, and but Suze has played it, and it always sounds great. This is a Don Grosh Electrojet. This is actually the serial number 66. And this is a really cool guitar. So here's a story. Curtis Lamberton reached out to me. And actually, I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, I heard you make pickups. You coming to NAMM? And I told him, hey, dude, I'll buy some guitars. You throw some pickups in there for me. I'll do some videos on it. And then I ended up like losing the memory card from NAMM. So all the footage I got was, look, this was like earlier on in Tone Junkie's life. And I'm still not very organized. But I ended up losing all this great footage where I was like knocking on the door, meeting him for the first time. It would have been a really cool video. Did a couple demos, and I've had this thing on the channel. This thing sounds amazing. Here's the only problem. I don't love the neck on this guitar. And honestly, there's so many guys on online who rave about these things. And I will tell you, they are great guitars. Don Grosh makes incredible guitars. It's a little light for me. I just like them a little thicker. I think I'm used to the Suhr JM Pros, which are just wider and a little flatter. And so while I feel that this is comfortable, it just never quite, I think the body reminds me of the JM Pro. And so I just feel like, what's wrong with this JM Pro? So the plan is I'm gonna let this one go. I've actually had a lot of interest on this in the past. I'm gonna let this guitar go. And I'm either going to take out these Lambertones and then put them in a Suhr JM Pro, or I'm going to let them go with the Lambertones, and then I'm going to just buy some Suhr JM. What did I just say? That's completely wrong. I'm either going to let them go with did I say Lambertone JM Pros? I'm going to let them go with these Lambertone Ristrettos in there, because these are underwound, bright, articulate, clear sounding kind of P90s. And I really like the way they sound. It's just the guitar and me have never quite bonded. Also, sometimes people are like, what's that weird JM Pro you're playing? It's just confusing for the brand. You know what I'm saying? So I'm either going to let these go with the Ristrettos in it, and then I'm going to buy some more Ristrettos and get a JM Pro with them in there, or I'm going to leave these in there. I might have to take these out because these are the third set of Ristrettos ever made. It's David Ryan Harris, the Worship Tutorial guys, and then these. So I'm not selling these actually. I'm going to take these out of guitar and then I'm going to sell the guitar. Also, I need to find the bar. I can't find it. It's been missing for like 6 months. I might have to get a replacement. Don't worry, that's going to come once I get that bar and these pickups switched out. A guitar that you may have never seen on the channel, almost ever. Never, ever, ever. This, my friends, is a Dorian James with Lambertone Cremas. And this is an interesting guitar, man. This dude is making these things in LA. It's got an interesting look. They came with like some McNelly Swaggertrons. I like these Cremas, but again, this guitar is just a little heavy for me. It's on the heavier side. And I like it. It's just, again, it's just stuff you don't end up playing. One of the things I do like about it is, flip it around, it's sparkle, and then there's like this cool, what is that pattern?
Like a damask paisley?
There you go, paisley. So, it's cool. Signs the back. Look at that. This is a cool guitar. But again, just one of those ones that I don't play a lot. And so Michael Britt told me one time, sell the ones you like, keep the ones you love. And I think that's good advice. And so to me, there's like 3 guitars in my collection, and it's those last 3 that I think, I like these guitars. I don't love them because I genuinely don't reach for them. I don't reach for them in demos. I don't reach for them when I go out. We just haven't formed the relationship. But they're Great guitars, and I especially have really started to love these Lambertone pickups. But I think what I got to do is get some of these pickups in a platform that I really like. I got 4Jam Pros because I love the shape, I love the feel. I got to put the Ristrettos there. These Cremas, I got this finish, this like, I forget what they call this, the gold foil finish, because I felt like it matched the guitar. I could pull these out, but I feel like they work on this guitar and they don't necessarily work on another guitar aesthetically. So I'm just going to leave these in there, and yeah. So this will have Cremas in it when that goes up. But anyway, there's going to be killer deals on this stuff because it's more important to me that they go to a good Tone Junkie home than that I make some money off it. That's the truth. Dorian James, cool maker. There's some deals to be had on these guitars out there too. Search them sometime on the Verb or on the boards. And is that the entire collection? We didn't talk about. I do have an acoustic because I don't know. I guess you need one of these in case like someone randomly starts a campfire, and you need to sing Kumbaya or Shout to the Lord. But it's true, Who's going to do it if not you? This is a triple O? No. Is this a triple O Marshall? I mean, a triple O Martin? This is a triple O, I believe, and I can't remember. I can't remember what model this is now. Hang on. No, it doesn't say. I thought there was a sticker. I thought this is a triple O, so it's like the trip, or is it a double O? Anyway, look, the orchestra model that everyone plays, like the one John Mayer plays and the one Eric Clapton plays, it's that body but scaled up. And this was made larger. This was a body style that Martin made way back in the day, before dreadnoughts came out. So before the D28 and stuff. They were trying to make orchestral guitars in the orchestra pit louder because you got this trumpet, it's super loud, and you're just sitting there, and no one can hear anything, right? And you're playing as hard as you can and then the banjo's like, it's like they got this timbre that jumps out. But at the time, the guitar was rhythmic only. The electrifying the guitar really let the single notes come out, because now via compression, turning a tube amp louder, we could get single notes to play the melody. But before that, guitars were not a melody instrument. So you're sitting there trying to do that thing and you just can't get it out. And so they were just going bigger and bigger and bigger with the body size. And that's why parlor guitars were smaller body. They weren't worried about projection as much, and it was just easy to throw around and easy to handle and throw in a corner and play a song. No one else is really playing with you. But in the orchestra pit, that's where you get these O models, and they need to get bigger. This one got bigger, and then later someone realized, let's just stop making it bigger. Let's just make a dreadnought that's deeper and kind of a different shape, and it'll project more. And then that pretty much defined the acoustic guitar for the next, 200 years or something. I mean, it's really like a long time. This is a cool guitar. Someone put Waverly tuners on there, and it's a great Martin. It sounds great. I'm sure if you troll around YouTube, there's some videos of me singing and playing this thing, but I'm not going to link to them. I have been HW. Thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. I hope you have enjoyed me talking about some of these guitars, and as well, some of the clips of the Suh's playing. It's really been super fun collecting all these things, and sell what you like, keep what you love. The chase continues. What guitars am I looking at? You might be wondering. HW, you don't need any more guitars. I know, but I'm always looking at. Here's what I'm looking at right now. The market is really going up on early 70s Gibsons. In 72, they made the stamped-on Gibson logos on the pickups, on the T-tops. I like those guitars. I kind of want either a 335 with those stamps on it, but I'm really into the Les Paul Deluxes right now. Stu G has a Les Paul Deluxe that is beautiful, and if you look around, it seems like all the Nashville cats are aware. late 60s, early 70s, even to the mid and later 70s. Stu's, I think, might be a 78. The 70s Les Paul Deluxes, if you find a good one, those pickups are brilliant. Mamma mia, that's some good tone, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm kind of on the lookout for right now. There's a forgotten guitar model that I think I'm going to buy one and bring it back. And people are going to go, like, I want to be credited with really taking a guitar model that no one's talking about anymore and bringing it back. And it becomes, that's HW's guitar. So I've got one. I've got one in mind. It's not the Les Paul Deluxe. We'll talk about it. One might show up here. In fact, I'm going to go buy it, actually. I think that's what I'm going to do. Shelly, I'm going to buy it. I'm an HW. Thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. If you get anything, what did you get out of this video? If you wasted time with me today, like, subscribe, leave me a comment below. Means the world to me. HW, out.